Welcome in, Monday edition, Blue Sky Live here with you today. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio. Haven't been with you in a little while. Hope you had a great 4th of July, a safe 4th of July, and the rest of your summer. We're going to recap a little bit today, talk about some things that we missed over the course of the past week or so with you, and then 1 week away from SEC Media Days. Texas and Oklahoma making their first appearance in Dallas for the first time. So all that coming up and some more on the show. A show brought to you every day by Blue Sky locations throughout Mississippi. Hope you took advantage of their special for 4th of July. They had that one-day special for all the ribs, but hey, you can get ribs at any time with all Sweet Daddy locations throughout Mississippi. Pulled pork, sides, desserts, plenty more. Call ahead. They'll wrap it up, have ready to go for you there with Blue Sky. You know about lunch specials, $5.69, couple sides bread, any size fountain drink, and more. And again, coming to you from Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is up to you. You can shop it around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Guests join on the Campbell Clinic hotline. The Campbell Clinic in Oxford now, 2608 South Lamar Boulevard, Suite 102, just across the street from the cottages at Hooper Hollow. The Campbell Clinic provides full-service orthopedic care, everything from sports medicine to foot and ankle surgery to spine, total joint care, pediatric orthopedics, physical therapy, and more. To book an appointment, go to campbellclinicoxford.com or call 901-759-3111. Walk-ins always welcome at the Campbell Clinic, Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. until 4 p.m.
Austin says, starting a job this morning. Been a while since I've done this. Is it okay to be a little nervous? Yeah, 100%. Of course.
Yeah.
You probably should be nervous. It means it matters to you. It means you care. If you're not nervous at all, it means you're completely checked out. So, yeah, I think that's more fair. Head in. You'll be all right here in a few hours. By the time lunch break gets there, it'll just be like anything else. Kyle, thanks for the super chat. Says, welcome back. When y'all leave, the country burns. Just a week. It wasn't bad. We had podcasts. We had things. I appreciate Bill
Jordan. The country did kind of burn
Keith
a little bit. Been a pretty interesting week.
Had a pretty interesting week.
Interesting week in media. That's, to me, and I know this isn't the big part of the story, but to me, the most fascinating part of the last week and a half has been watching media who told you something wasn't happening for 3.5 years suddenly turn and go, oh, yeah, it happened. How did we not see it? How did we not know? How did they cover this up? And it's like, guys, you're going to have to own this one. You made this bed. This is one you're going to have to lie in for a while. It's one of the things I always talk about in terms of just, we turn this into sports. I wrote about this in 10 Thoughts. The backlash, this anger from some corners about what Paul Feinbaum said about Lane Kiffin, and specifically what Paul said about this Ole Miss football team, was like, that's not an outlandish opinion. It's not. I mean, look, I don't think Paul's right. If you made me bet, does Ole Miss make the playoff or not, I'd go, yeah, I think Ole Miss makes the playoff. But if you came down, if the football gods dropped in and said, Paul's right, they didn't make it, I'm not stunned. I can easily draw up a scenario where it doesn't happen. In the same way I can draw up one where it does. I mean, in fact, there are like, of the teams in the country that I would go, they're in, I think there's 2. That's it. So the others 20 that have a shot.
Yeah, I'm only 100. I mean, I feel great about Georgia, and I feel really good about Ohio State.
That's it.
I think that's it.
I'd bet on them. If you said, hey, put your life on 2 teams. Okay, Georgia and Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'll go with there.
To make the 12, okay, sure.
Yeah. The others, I mean, I can't. So when people get, I can't believe Paul would say that, it's like, oh, come on.
I don't know if you said it or somebody else said it. It's professional wrestling.
Well,
it is finding a way to get clicks and taking advantage of the aggregation.
Yes.
Because you know it's where it's going. You're setting everything up for Dallas next week.
I mean, Paul was talking to Barry Trammell when he did it. Barry, for those who don't know, is a long-time Oklahoma-based journalist. Very, very good. One of those people who could have moved and gone anywhere, but he stayed in Oklahoma because that's his roots and he loves it there.
What's he doing now that the thing died?
It's a good question.
He was trying to do an independent thing, and it did not work.
Yeah, he's doing something.
Okay.
His name has enough cachet.
They say he might have the ability to do the Canzano thing where he just does his own deal and runs the Substack and does it.
Yeah. But he had Paul on. It was the day that Oklahoma was being officially welcomed into the SEC. And, Trammell asked about Ole Miss. And Paul made a couple of cracks about Lane because I think Paul and Lane have this little wrestling thing going on. And then he said, he needed to see more before he put Ole Miss in the playoff. It's fair. And I was away. It was interesting getting away from your job for a while because unlike a lot of people, and this isn't criticizing, I used to be bad about this. I used to be really bad about being on my device all day, and I'm now not on my device much at all. And I was more interested, honestly, in a couple of national stories than I was sports stories. I was pretty obsessed with that Karen Reed trial by the end. I was following it. And then, of course, the Trump-Biden debate and the fallout from that debate is fascinating. If you like politics and history and such, you're sort of watching history unfold. But I was watching that as like I referred to it as sycophantic, and I think that's what it was. It's that I must act appalled so that I can appeal to an audience instead of just being objective about something and going, oh, well, that's fair.
Or even they're going to play games, and when they make the playoff, you can make fun of them. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I mean, the part with, like I said, with Lane and Paul going back and forth, it's like, whatever. They're doing their thing. They're setting it up where when Lane comes on Paul's show on Monday,
more people are following.
A lot of people are going to be like, I can't miss this. They're going to go after one another. They're not going to go after one another. They're going to take some cracks at one another. Then they're going to have an interview, and it's going to be fine. They're not going to fight on the dais. But, the EA Sports stuff that we talked about, I watched that from a distance last week going, really? We're worked up about EA Sports ranking some teams? I mean, at the end of the day, man, they're going to play games. You're going to find out.
What it showed you, I mean, yes. I mean, I'm not spending an hour breaking down the EA Sports rankings. What it showed you was they were trying to put teams rated higher they thought would sell video games. That was their goal. Yeah. Because Colorado was so grossly overrated in every way, but they went, there's probably a lot of casual people who just follow Deion and are going to play with Colorado.
And so cool. I get it.
That's what happened.
Yeah. I mean,
because a lot of media came back and went, hold on a minute, Colorado? What the hell are y'all doing?
But nobody's willing to kind of just say what you just said, which is, well, they're just selling video games. Because at the end of the day, that's their objective, is to sell as many games as possible. It's not to, let's get this right. Which kind of full circle back to the whole media thing. If you
and look, I do think, and I wrote this, I think in something, I don't know, it was in a column or the mailbag last week or something. Have they made tremendous strides nationally? Yes, in 1,000 different ways, lane, program, all that. But I think that there is a tangible thing from all of this, is that Ole Miss is still 1 year of winning away from being absolutely in the national conscience of that group.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
If you go to the playoff and you finish 6th in the country, your EA Sports ranking is going to be higher next year. Paul's going to go, oh, wow, that was pretty blah, 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 blah. Like,
well, I mean, in fairness to Paul, and I wrote this in 10 Thoughts at rebelgrove.com. It's behind the paywall. Please subscribe. Its price has never gone up. Never will go up. Just will stay the same forever. Kind of the 3 games over the last 2 seasons that have been big national opportunities for Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost and not played well at all in 2 of those and blew one. At home to Alabama in 2022. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
At Alabama in 2023 and at Georgia in 2023. Those were games where Ole Miss had for the Paul Feinbaums of the world, the people who are focused each week on the big game. In those opportunities, Ole Miss kind of wet the bed. And then one of them just flat out got exposed, right, by Georgia. They just did. I mean, and so if you're Paul and you look at that and you go, okay, well, that's that. I'm not buying it yet. And those games sort of allow him to go, I'm not buying it yet, which is fair. I don't think I think he's inaccurate, but I don't think it's unfair. I would hear people go, that's Feinbaum's taking these shots. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not taking shots. That wasn't a shot. I know Paul. I know Paul when he takes shots. I've been the subject of one of those shots. That wasn't a shot. That was an opinion. And when that happens next week, and there will be some people, I think it's going to be a minority opinion, but there will be some people in Dallas next week who say, I'm not ready to buy the hype. I mean, you can choose to get morally outraged if you want. I would argue there's a chance they're right. Here's the point. If you came down and the football gods came down and told me right now Georgia does not make the playoff, I'm shocked.
Yeah, you went, wow. Huh?
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Well, you would go, wow, they lost to Texas, Ole Miss, and then something happened?
Yeah, something happened, right. But if you come down and go, Ole Miss didn't make the playoff, I'm like, okay, well, they lost to Georgia. They lost at LSU, and they dropped another game.
Yeah.
What, maybe
they got beat by Georgia. They lost a heartbreaker in Baton Rouge, and then they did something stupid in Fayetteville.
Maybe they lost Oklahoma at home. Maybe they lost in Florida. Maybe they lost to Kentucky. Maybe they lost to South Carolina. We've talked about these 5 games.
Yeah.
You know, it's like maybe they lost at Arkansas. Maybe some team, and maybe they didn't lose. Maybe they played a team on the day when that team played their very best A game, and it just all fell into place. Couple of crazy turnovers, an injury. Jackson Dart sprained an ankle in the first quarter, limped around, didn't play well. They lose a game. Boom, you're not in. It's not difficult to draw up that scenario. So when that happens next week, and I'm not talking about fans, by the way. This isn't about fans. You're fans. Fanatics, do what you want. Just yell and scream, get upset. I'm talking about, quote, media types, end quote, that turn something Paul said into this content of, this is disrespect. That's not disrespect. Shut up. It's an opinion. It's what kind of drives me a little nutty. It's that. It's why when the whole Biden thing happened, a lot of the same media who had just been Joe Scarborough, for example, had literally weeks earlier said this was the sharpest, this is the best version of Biden. A day after the debate, for the betterment of the country, he should step down. It's like, whoa, you don't get to have it both ways.
I feel like I'm so desensitized to all of it because I feel like it's permeated through every bit of our media and everything where I go, everybody is on a team, and by God, your team can't be wrong. So that's what you do. That's where we are in media day because it's across the board. It's in sports. It's the things you're talking about. It's definitely in national politics and national media in every way that you're mentioning, plus 1,000 more. And I mean, it's on the state level. I mean, it's a pretty complicated case right now between Mississippi Today and Phil Bryant. And Phil Bryant suing Mississippi Today for defamation and all that stuff. Yet, like, I've seen a couple of national news stories on it and whatever, and anybody else who goes, well, this is 100%. It's like, no, nothing's 100% here. This is a really complicated First Amendment case.
Yes.
Like, you can't be 100% sure of how this should go.
No, there's a ton of nuance.
It's really complicated.
It's a ton of nuance in that story.
And I was reading that, and I went, that's our local political news version of the same sports conversations we're having, too, is I know who I like better. So, thus, I have made my decision about the content going in.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but not everything's 0, 1, 9, 10. There's a lot of 2 to 8 in this bad boy.
Yeah, and it's to your point. There will be people who, I promise you, I'll get it. Not from many. It'll be a vast minority because I think I've been doing this long enough now where people sort of know how I do things. But there will be people that go, why can't you embrace that they should be good? Don't you want them to be good? If they're good, you're going to make more money. You're going to have more eyeballs. And I've told you guys this before. If I let myself go down that road, I'm as guilty as everybody else at that point because I can't control it, right? So I just look at it and go, what do I expect?
Well, you're setting yourself up, and this actually does affect the people listening and reading. You're setting yourself up for an emotional response if it doesn't go well.
100%.
To where you almost get depressed.
100%.
And then you have to fight off that to cover it for 2 or 3 weeks.
I mean, it's why next week I'll get asked. I mean, people will say, hey, will you do my show or whatever? And my answer is, well, if you'll ever do mine, I'll do yours. The whole back scratching thing. But Do you think Ole Miss is making the playoff? That's coming.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you told me they did, I can tell you how. If you told me they didn't, I'm not stunned.
They make the playoff if they stay healthy and they do exactly the reason why. And it's funny. It just kind of relates to the Paul thing. The way that they have gotten into the national conversation when the games you're supposed to win. It's not that they go beat a ton of teams they weren't supposed to beat, and they've had these huge days, even to the point that Freeze and Nutt did. I mean, it's actually the exact opposite of what Freeze did. When he'd go beat Alabama, and you'd get this huge headline in the Sports Illustrated, but then you'd lose to Memphis, or you'd lose to Arkansas, or you do all that kind of stuff. Nutt did that. He beats Florida, loses to South Carolina the next week.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
You do all those things. Instead, Lane is just kind of the little engine that could just beat the team you're supposed to beat. The record will get there, and even if you drop the big game, you're kind of rolling. And that's the actual ticket to the playoff is, hey, win these 5 and then just beat Oklahoma. And even if you lose to Georgia and LSU, you're probably still in.
Yeah. It's one of the things I'll write, is that in Kiffin's years, and I throw 2020 out because it was so chaotic with the
it doesn't count
stuff. I just, whatever. If my stance on 2020 is if your team won big and you want to count it, great. If your team didn't and you want to throw it out, throw it out. And anything in between, fine. I just choose to sort of ignore it. But in his seasons, 21, 22, 23, I think he's lost one game
State
that he absolutely should have won.
State.
There are other people that point at that Arkansas game, and I go, well, I get it. I get why you say that, but that was there. It was at night. They played really, really well for 2.5 quarters, like really, really well. And that wasn't a terrible Arkansas team. They weren't good, but they had some talent. And that night,
you didn't
no-show.
Night. You've no-showed one time.
Yeah, you no-showed 5 nights later.
And I'm not holding a bowl game against you ever.
No.
I'm not counting Texas Tech.
No.
I know somebody will be going Texas Tech. No,
I don't count that.
He did coach that game like it was on a video game, but that's fine.
It doesn't count. But that's it. And so if they can do that again and not have the one stumble,
you're in.
You're probably in. There are some wild cards. Like, what if Florida's a lot better than we think they are? What if Arkansas is better than we think they are? What if South Carolina's better than we think they are? There will be some team in the SEC that will surprise.
And if they look, do I think it's going to happen? No, frankly, I think he's fired by then. But if Florida could pull off one of those upsets and have a pulse, they don't suck.
Sure.
Like, they're okay.
Well, someone's going to surprise.
Yeah.
And I don't know who it's going to be. I have no idea. That's why they play the season. Maybe Oklahoma's a lot better.
Oklahoma is going to beat someone they're not supposed to beat.
Maybe Oklahoma's a lot better than we think they're going to be. I don't know. Someone's going to be better than we think they're going to be, and maybe you run into them on the wrong day. That happens in college football. It's one of the reasons everybody loves college football, right? Because it's supposedly so unpredictable. Well, sometimes unpredictability bites you in the ass.
Yeah, and I was asked in the mailbag the other day, what is the most likely scenario of Lane leaving? And I said leaving for Florida because it's the next hurdle. And I believe that because it's the next thing we are aware of, and that is the most likely thing. The point being,
I bet that went over really, really well.
It was better than I intended. Like, I just left with that line and let everybody start, and then we'll go from there. But the point is, it's I think there's so much angst, and we said this a ton, and we'll say it 1,000 more times, is because Ole Miss fans in general, I talked to Bill Jordan about this when he came on with me on Tuesday for the show, so if you listen, you've already heard some of this, then we'll move on, is the margin of error and the ability to be happy or content or excited about your team when you were just trying to win 6, 7, 8 games is so large to where you don't have this death scenario over 1 week. 1 week, it's not really that important in any way. Now, every game is incredibly important. There is no margin for error. Every game is big and huge, and you got to go 10-2 where it's a disappointment. That's a completely different ballpark.
Yeah.
It's a completely different situation for the fan base. They're not used to. And no offense, it's just true.
Yeah.
Frankly, hardly anybody but Alabama and Georgia are used to that. And then LSU to an extent because they get pissed off when they lose 3 games. And then on the top of it, and it's the reason I thought of this, is somebody said, hey, the 3-year predictions, where would you even put Ole Miss next year? It's impossible to know because you build teams, not programs for the most part. The portal is so important. And Ole Miss has to win this season to maximize NIL in future seasons, to keep everyone locked in and to move forward. That's actually where the stress comes in, I think, for a lot of people is going, if you don't get there, what happens to the money, to the NIL, to the buy-in, to all those things? And I think that just ratchets everything up and makes it even more so as time goes on. I think that's actually where we're sitting here.
And again, on my point, it's not really about what the fans you're allowed to get upset as a fan, right? Scream and yell and holler and get pissed off. It's for me, it's like some of the other media. They're emotional. You see that emotion, and how dare Paul say that?
Yeah.
That's why I wrote what I wrote. I'm like, that's not an extreme view.
No, it's fine.
I mean, they're not going to make it. Ole Miss isn't going to make the playoff. They're going to go 9-3. Okay. I mean, I don't find that to be a reprehensible opinion. I mean, it's not what anyone's cheering for. I get that. But if I told you that Ole Miss lost to Oklahoma,
Georgia and maybe Texas are the only two schools that
maybe
would maybe.
I'm
not sure I'm putting Texas in that.
Well, I mean, I want to see Texas navigate an SEC schedule one time.
Yeah.
Maybe they do it fine. I mean, if you told me that Texas makes again to this point, right?
I expect Texas in the playoff.
If you told me Texas makes the playoff, I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah, sure. They're really good, really talented. They got a good quarterback, very good offensive-minded coach, blah, blah, blah. Sure. Mm-hmm. But if you told me Texas went 9-3 and stumbled, that Texas lost to, I don't even know Texas' schedule. I'm somewhere.
Yeah, whatever.
They lost
Oklahoma and Georgia.
Lost to Oklahoma and Georgia, and Texas A&M got them in a rivalry game at the end. Yeah, I see that. Does that shock you? No, it doesn't shock me at all.
A&M winning the rivalry game to end the year to knock Texas out of the playoff would be a fun night. That would be an interesting night.
Well, but stuff like that happens in college football all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my point is like, if you're going to try to do some shocking hot take, it's Vanderbilt wins 3 SEC games. It's Arkansas goes 6-2. It's something like that. I mean, otherwise, I'm like, yeah, I can see it. I mean, if you told me Texas A&M goes 5-3 in the league and knocks a couple of teams out, sure.
Yeah.
I can see that 100%.
Yeah.
And if you told me Texas A&M goes 2-6 in the league and they really struggle in Elko's first year, I'm like, yeah, I can see that too. That's kind of my point. I mean, to Paul's credit, he's doing the show with Barry Trammell, and Trammell throws him a pretty easy question, and he goes, watch this, and turns it into, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And he did it without saying anything particularly astounding.
Let's talk a little more about Texas, Oklahoma after the break. Before we do that, I'll tell you about Prime Shrimp. PrimeShrimp.com. Go to the website, order at least 5 pouches or more. You get 25% off. Use code RG to accomplish that. Doing this for a long time. Appreciate those guys. And they make restaurant quality shrimp right there from the New Orleans-based company, shipped directly to your door, freezer to plate in fewer than 10 minutes to take care of you. The New Orleans-style barbecue, the signature, a couple of my favorites. They got spicy options. They've got full meals in a bag, and they've got their soy ginger, their latest offering as well. So again, that's code RG with PrimeShrimp.com. 5 pouches or more, 25% off. Code RG at PrimeShrimp.com.
Speaking of my 10 weekend thoughts, they're brought to you by Andrew Seago, Seago Wealth Management. Are you retiring soon? How long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? Are you already retired? Should you consider Roth conversions? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with the personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Seago, Seago Wealth Management, specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan, whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere. Schedule a free discovery meeting. See what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com. We're brought to you by Grenada Home Center. They've got paint by Benjamin Moore, Pittsburgh Paints, and Farrell Calhoun. Flooring of any and all types, stone countertops, whether you're looking for granite, quartz, or anything else. And they've got window treatments from plantation shutters to whatever else suits your fancy. It's Grenada Home Center, 1301 Sunset Drive, Suite H in Grenada. Call them at 662-226-3127. We're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, different names, same great people, products, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern, 662-429-4429. Football season getting closer. You want to make sure you've got your gear. I suggest the College Corner. They've got 2 locations in the Jackson area, one in Oxford, right off of Sisk Avenue in the Oxford Commons. More than 4,000 square feet of the best Rebel gear. Plenty of parking available. Their staff's going to have you in and out, ready for the Grove in no time. You can also check out their website, collegecornerstore.com. And we're brought to you by Argent Wealth. That's formerly Pinnacle Wealth, Argent Wealth, based in Ridgeland, Mississippi. Clients in more than 20 states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. At Argent, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. So regardless of your level of wealth, Argent will sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan built just for you. It's myargentwealth.com.
Luke asking, how long does this ranking system last in college football? When do we move to an actual playoff system based off results? A lot of the problem now is the lack of continuity in the schedules. You're getting leagues that are so big that just doing results is almost impossible. I mean, it just doesn't make sense at this point. So I think we're here for a while. I think we're going to more teams eventually, but I think we're here for a while as far as the system makeup of that. Texas and Oklahoma joined officially there at the first of the month. That was last Monday. They threw their big parties in Norman and Austin. And we've been talking about it for so long. And I think my muscle memory is still trying to kick in to remember they're in the league. I'm kind of forgetting about them, and a lot of times when I'm going through different things. But I'm pretty excited. I think it adds so much to the league, even in talking points and personalities and things that we haven't even necessarily experienced yet because we haven't gone through a football season with it. We haven't done it on a week-to-week basis where they're just part of the conversation and they're part of what we're talking about so in so many ways, because you get two really interesting fan bases, and I'm mostly talking about football, but that goes across the other sports, is with Texas, you have this almost late 90s Yankees team coming into your conference with capability, arrogance, expectations, money, like this villain in a very sports sense, if you will, that's coming in expecting to run through you, and they're going to have a certain period of, oh, this is harder than we realize. At the same time, they're very capable and all those things. And then this Oklahoma program or the school that is very proud, very accomplished, has maybe the best AD in the country in Joe Castiglione, and yet they're much more self-aware, at least internally, of we had a lot of work to do to get ready for this league. We get this is not necessarily something we're about to run through. Our record may not be in the spot that we're used to in the Big 12. All these different things as they try to adapt. And then they're commingling with each other. You've got the Texas A&M Texas thing. You continually hear A&M Big Ten buzz as far as A&M trying to get the hell away from Texas again, which is, if they leave the SEC for the Big Ten at any point, is maybe the oddest sports story of the 21st century. Because it's like you guys are running from them that badly. Like, yeah, you
and their arguments, well, we'll make more money in the Big Ten.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, fine.
Yeah.
But I guess my point is, even basketball, baseball, everything else, like these schools just now on the schedule. I don't know if we fully appreciated. This is going to be pretty cool. This is a big deal.
I mean,
frankly, with very few negatives, because it's only helping your schedule. You're going to get way more. I mean, like the SEC needed it, but you're going to get way more benefit of the doubt when you get wins over these programs.
Sure.
Like it's pretty cool. It's a big thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, look, the fact that the league is putting media days in Dallas.
Yeah, a little favor there, but
sure. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, I've already heard some people going, they should have made them come to Birmingham and do it like everybody else. It's like, no, they've always talked about wanting to move it around. They was in Nashville last year. It was really good. It was really good in Nashville.
That's the new hub for the league.
Yeah.
We can do this Birmingham thing, and I get it. And Atlanta works for football, but Nashville's the new hub of the league.
But, now that you have OU's about 3.5 hours from Dallas.
Is it that close?
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay.
Right there on the interstate. And Texas is not far from Dallas, obviously. You've got Texas, so I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of I expect a little different feel to it. I think Texas goes the last day. I haven't even looked at the schedule. I'm going for the first 3 days. Ole Miss goes on Monday. I know that. The league does a really good job of sort of parceling out who goes what day. I know Auburn's the last day. I can't remember who else is the last day.
Is it?
But, I mean, I think OU goes Tuesday, Texas goes Wednesday, or vice versa. But those are going to be massive national stories. Those schools kind of dealing with the SEC media for the, quote, first time, end quote.
Blake says, thanks for Super Chat, by the way, from him. He says, do you think the ACC move for the 3 Pac-12 teams was to keep the ACC together after the big teams leave it, or will the ACC disappear like the Pac-12 did? Well, I mean,
I think they're trying to survive.
Yeah. So they did the only thing in real time that they could do.
Yeah.
I still think Virginia and North Carolina are leaving for another league relatively soon.
I do too.
I don't know when.
Clemson and Florida State are probably right there with them.
Yeah. And at that point, you lose your status. You're done. You're out of the power or whatever.
Yeah.
Keith told me we're calling it the A4 now, is the official
A4?
A4 instead of Power 5. It's the A4 now.
Okay.
I think it's autonomous 4.
Autonomous. Okay.
I think it's because I thought automatic, and he went, "No, I think it's autonomous." And we debated that for like 30 seconds, and then both realized, "What the hell are we? Does it matter? What are we doing?" But yeah, I think it's autonomous is the way that's being phrased.
Okay. I mean, again, fine. You want to call them Power 4, Autonomous 4, Super 4, whatever. It's fine with me. I'm cool.
I did find this interesting. Bill Connolly was looking at where teams in their new conferences would have ranked last year in those conferences from an SP plus standpoint, which is what he typically works with, and it works all right. The SEC's was fascinating because it's what we're talking about here. Oklahoma has this horrendous schedule. Texas got a really big favor from a schedule standpoint. Oklahoma did not get the same favor. They have a terrible, 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 terrible schedule. Oklahoma, 6 of their, let me find this, if I have it right. 6 of their 8 SEC games are against teams ranked in the top 16 in the country. And their other 2, their lowest ranked opponent in SP Plus is 43 in the league. That's South Carolina.
Wow.
43. So last year's power rankings, SP Plus, for the SEC, Texas would have come in at number 2, right behind Georgia.
Okay.
Based off their SP Plus, they won in Tuscaloosa.
Sure.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sure.
Oklahoma, which was 17th in the country last year on SP Plus, by the way, would have come in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9th in the SEC.
Wow.
Tucked in between Texas A&M and Kentucky.
Wow.
At 17th in the nation.
Yeah.
So a team that went 10-3, I believe.
OU?
Yeah, last year. Yeah, because they were the last team out of the playoff.
Okay.
Or the Access Bowls. Sorry, not the playoff. Access Bowls.
Things I can't remember.
Yeah. I think that's right. Because Ole Miss had to make sure Oklahoma didn't jump them to get the Peach Bowl berth. I think that's right.
Okay. It rings a bell now.
They were at least in that realm, whatever you want to call it. So you're talking about an Oklahoma team that went 10-3 in the Big 12. From a power ranking standpoint of what they did on the field, they are tucked between 2 teams in the SEC that went 7-6 last season, Kentucky and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
They both went 7-6. SEC SP Plus power rankings from last season, Georgia number 1, they were number 2 nationally.
Mm-hmm.
Texas number 6 nationally. Alabama number 7 nationally. Missouri number 10 nationally. LSU number 11 nationally. Ole Miss number 12 nationally. Tennessee number 14, A&M 16, Oklahoma 17, Kentucky 22, Auburn 36, Florida 41.
Yeah. It's a tough league. That's kind of they're going to get asked about it, and there's no answer for it, right? I mean, the players at Texas and Oklahoma, there's no answer for it other than, it's going to be a challenging league. We're looking forward to it.
Which is why Oklahoma's over-under for the season is 7.5.
Yeah, because the schedule's brutal. But it's the hot take stuff, right? If they say anything along the lines of, look, I mean, we really believe in our team. We believe in our program. We think we're going to dominate in the SEC. Oh, you're arrogant. Yeah. Well, what are they supposed to say?
I'd like to thank the SEC for the invitation. We're going to get our ass kicked.
I mean,
okay.
What do you just?
There is a bit of like a now bow down.
Yeah. But I mean, we do this with everybody, right? It's the Bo Wallace back in the day when, he's like, yeah, well, we're going to try to win. Oh, how dare you?
You disrespected the Tide.
Yeah. I mean, when you ask Jeff Lebby at SEC Media Days, what are your expectations for the season? Well, if we can get to 5 wins. No, he's not going to say that. I mean, and he shouldn't. If he goes, well, I mean, we anticipate competing. Our goal is to make the playoffs. That's going to be the goal every year. He'll get ridiculed for that when that's a completely fine, generic July answer. It's going to walk in and tell his team, hey, guys, listen, I know I said in Dallas that I only expect us to win 5 games, but I really think we're going to win 7. That's not going to fire up the locker room. I mean,
you go in, you got a PowerPoint of all the SEC's bowl things. You go, guys.
That Belk Bowl.
Yeah, fixate. The Music City is right there for us.
I mean, come on.
We can get there.
No, he's going to say, we're going to try to compete for championships. Now, does Jeff really believe that in year 1? Of course not. But he's going to say it. And people will ridicule him one way or the other for saying it. I'm like, why? Why are we worked up over what he said? I'm not talking about fans, by the way. Fans can ridicule whoever they want to. I'm talking media types. They'll be like, I can't believe he said that. I'm like, I can't believe you can't believe that he said it.
We are going to suck.
You can't say that.
Hey, guys, let's work real hard. We can go 4-8. You're going to get that one day that's going to be great this season.
No, I mean, he's going to say we're going to compete every week.
Hey, 6-6 on a fossil watch is right there on the table.
Yeah. Can't say
go to the Belk
He's
Bowl.
going to say we're going to try to compete every week. We're going to try to win a championship. That's our goal.
Oregon, interestingly enough, in SP Plus would have ranked 2nd in the Big Ten last year, behind only Michigan.
Yeah, I mean,
they replaced Bo Nix with Dylan Gabriel.
Look, those 2 programs more than 2. But 3 of those 4 programs walk into that league, 2 in particular, Oregon and Washington, where they could make some noise.
Washington would have ranked 5th last year in the Big Ten, 13th nationally. God, those 2 leagues. SP Plus for the SEC in the top 15, top 16, 2, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 14, 16. The Big 12, 1, 3, 4, 5, 13. Most of them. Almost all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Washington 13th would have been somewhere over in around 5th in the Big Ten. UCLA 27 nationally. SC 31 nationally. Iowa down at 47 nationally just because they have no offense.
Because the flip side of the OU Texas moving up a league is if you let teams like Texas A&M and Kentucky last year, teams that were fine. If you moved them and let them play a Big 12 schedule, they might have gotten on a roll.
Oh, no, that's 100% true.
That's the flip side of it.
Yeah, the flip side is you look at what Oklahoma did, you go, well, God, who says A&M or Kentucky could have done that?
Well, I think they probably could have.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tennessee would have rolled through the Big 12.
A&M wasn't a bad team. They just had some losses, and the losses started to pile up, and as they did, all the noise piled up, and it just turned out to be too much. But again, I mean, Texas A&M came to Oxford and played a huge game, and if not
Block
for
field
a field goal block, they were going to overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads me back to my original point of it. You know, the margin's probably thinner than you think.
This season, I'm just.
I mean, you know, that's why when people go, "What do you want to happen?" I'm not going there. I'm not doing that. I refuse to go there because going there takes me down a road that's going to lead to emotion. And if you're emotional trying to cover a team, you can't do it. So when people say, "What do you want to happen?" Hope everybody stays healthy. I don't want any kids to get hurt. That's the extent of my want. If I allow myself to want something, now I'm cheering. And if I'm cheering, I can't do my job. Because if they lose, you have to put in perspective what that loss means, why it happened. If they win, same thing.
If you want to find maybe a jump on over under, and I don't even know what their over under is. I guess maybe if Vegas prepared for this, then never mind. But I would assume public sentiment is that they're going to be worse than this. SMU jumping from the AAC to the ACC. SP Plus projection is 23rd for this coming up season. Even in the ACC, they're projected to win over 9 games this season.
Huh?
They've got a really soft schedule. Of the top 6 teams in the ACC, they only play 2 of them. They play Florida State, they play Louisville. Both those week 6, week 7, back-to-back in the season. If you buy the Mustangs at all, that's interesting. That's really, really, really interesting. You can can maybe get them in a bargain there to try to get the over and jump on them. They are projected to finish essentially tied for second in the ACC with Clemson. Florida State, the runaway favorite, but
that's the weird one.
Pony up.
SMU and the ACC.
That's the weird one. Not Stanford or Cal or whatever the hell it is in the ACC.
About those teams because
they're there too,
but they're not factors. Like SMU's good enough to be interesting, and they're in the A4. Are they already in?
Who?
SMU.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're ready to go.
So SMU's an A4 team now.
Yes.
Okay.
All the people from the 80s are very justified right now in the SMU return.
Yeah.
Back in the football business.
Same as it ever was.
I had that.
A flat circle.
Yeah, I had the booster on the podcast last year. Sorry, no offense. I just don't remember his name. The guy that was one of the instrumental people in moving SMU. And look, is the ACC in trouble long term? Yeah, but no, it's a huge deal for SMU. God, they have oxygen. And they have enough money to offstand whatever it took to get in to go, okay, we'll foot it. It's going to be all right. They can pay their bills in Highland Park. It'll be all right.
Yeah, they'll find the new landing spot.
Yeah, their schedule coming up for this season: SMU, Nevada, Houston Christian, BYU, TCU. That'd be a big game.
Yeah.
Florida State, Louisville, Stanford, Duke, Pitt, Boston College, Virginia, Cal. They can run through that.
Oh, they really could. That sucks.
SMU can win 9 games.
Oh, easy.
Mike can win 10 because I'm not giving Louisville that automatic win there.
No,
I think Louisville's overrated compared to last season and the way that kind of went.
Who's Florida State play this year?
Well, I just read most of it.
Good God,
I like their chances to get in,
but I also see why they want out.
Now they have a much harder schedule. Compared that to this,
okay.
Georgia Tech, Boston College, Memphis, which sneaky power group of 5 team to get in this year.
Sure.
They're not beating Florida State, but
Cal. That'd be the Norvell game.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Cal,
SMU, Clemson, Duke, Miami, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Charleston, Southern Florida. It's harder.
I can see why from season tickets and stuff they just want out. They're better than that. They're bigger than that.
Yeah.
I can see how they stare at a Big Ten schedule and go, God, we could really sell that.
No, if you're any one of those 3 teams in the ACC, you're looking up right now going, why are we in this neighborhood? This is not where we're supposed to be living.
Yeah.
You get the schedule and it shows Boston College and Stanford. And you're like, oh, my God.
Sure.
Because my fans don't care.
No.
My fans are looking off at these Big Ten SEC schedules and going, oh, my God, look at the Saturday. And yet we're.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Who were y'all playing that day? Well, we're Boston College.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Texas is playing Florida. And
that one day in college football, the day Ole Miss plays LSU, it is just a banger all day long. Yeah. It's like, oh, my God. And it's those 2 leagues.
I wonder who they play that day. So who does Florida State play that day? It's October
What day is that?
I think it's the 9th or the 16th, one or the other.
They're off, I think.
At least they'll get to see.
Let me check and make sure.
I think it's the 9th.
Is it the 9th?
I'm pretty sure.
12th.
12th.
So what are they doing on the 12th? They are off, yes.
Oh.
They play Clemson the week before, and then they have a Friday game at Duke the next following.
Yeah, I rest my case. They're better than that.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to put the defendant on the stand. We're good. Don't even have a closing argument.
Just because I think their schedule is pretty soft, and be pretty good. I picked Riley Leonard to win the Heisman Trophy.
Oh. That's a
media will be happy to give it to a Notre Dame quarterback.
Yeah.
That's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. They can get in the playoff.
Yeah.
Their schedule sets up for games they should win, but enough name value. Like I'm this schedule.
Okay.
Because Riley Leonard can win the Heisman Trophy if Notre Dame goes at least 10-2.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Because a lot of name value.
I mean, Jaden Daniels won it last year with LSU losing 3 games.
They open up the season on August 31st with a national televised ABC game in College Station.
Okay.
If you win it.
Sure.
Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami, Ohio, Louisville.
Okay. Off to a hot start.
Stanford, Georgia Tech.
Same.
Navy. Setting up November the 9th at home against Florida State.
Oh. Yeah.
And then after that, Virginia, Army, and an overrated SC team.
Ooh,
that's your schedule.
That's not a bad pick. That's actually a really good pick. Now he's got to be really good in those 2 games.
Even in the games they lose, it can't be him.
Yeah,
I get it. And I don't trust Freeman as a coach. That's actually my biggest problem here.
Holy shit, they could easily go 11-1.
Oh, dude. And full circle. When they start taking a spot and then somebody else takes a spot, you're not finishing top 12. You're finishing top 9 or 10.
Right. And it's where
you're going to get down to.
It's where 10-2, if the Georgia loss was a blowout again,
it puts you in a weird spot, man.
You're in a hard spot.
And you're going to get to that conference championship game and you're going to be the biggest Florida State fan in the history of God's green earth.
Yeah.
Because you can't have it's like the NCAA basketball tournament. You can't have bid stealers.
Right.
It's like, no, the winners have to win.
I mean, it's why, again, Paul's take's it's not even remotely hot.
No.
It's not. It needs to be warmed up before you eat it. It's room temperature. It's not even. But I watched people get worked up about it. How that's disrespect. No, it's not. If I told you Notre Dame makes the playoff and then a group of 5 team makes the playoff.
Because they will. They're in.
Okay. And I told you Ole Miss loses twice. Okay. They lose by 10 points at LSU. Just play along. These are not predictions. And they lose by 21 at home against Georgia. Their biggest wins are Oklahoma, who turns out to be a 7-5 team.
Kentucky and somebody
Kentucky
else.
goes 7-5.
Yeah. Florida sucks. Carolina sucks.
Arkansas sucks. State sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not reaching a lot here. Does that team are they just in? I would go, I don't know, man. It might get really tense.
Yeah. What did Alabama do? What did Missouri do? Because you didn't play them.
Yeah.
What did Tennessee do? You didn't play them.
Yeah. So
did LSU go on some run after they beat you?
Right.
I don't know.
What did Texas do?
It's why schedules are so important and why Ole Miss is preseason in the place they're in. It's just simply the schedules are dictating this thing. So, all right, we'll continue in a second. First, Northeast Spark, NESPARC, service people across rural communities 2 packages, the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or the Blaze. That is their fastest, their 1 gig option. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. That's nespark.com, 662-238-3159. Phone service, parental controls, network security, wireless mesh extender, and much more. So call the office for details or go straight to it. That's nespark.com.
Sorry, I just got a text on something. Let's see, where was I? We're brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John's part of Virtuoso, a worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits simply not available to other travelers. John traveled the globe for 37 years before he got into the travel business. He knows the extra attention that's needed to make a special trip one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. So give him some parameters, give him a budget. He will give you some options. And know this, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. Oxford's newest Greek restaurant on the square. Opa is the perfect place to plan your Christmas party, your company dinner, your festive party event. Fabulous food, great craft libations. They can accommodate up to 200 guests at Opa. For catering or booking information, contact Jeannie, 601-421-7147. We're brought to you by Service Specialist, staffing and recruiting agency. They've been connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, whether you're seeking an entry-level position or you're a seasoned professional, they have opportunities across the board: IT, engineering, dentistry, accounting, law, manufacturing, human resources, and more. Always free for the candidate, so you've got nothing to lose. Give Will, Sydney, or Kelsey a call, 601-573-9242, or check out their new and improved website, servicespecialistltd.com. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. So schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com.
Yeah, I mean, kind of putting a bow on this. That would be the interesting resume is if you beat Georgia but lose to Florida. I think you're in because you get the big win.
Yeah, I think you'd be in if that was the two.
Yeah.
The issue would be if you lost Georgia and LSU, and your big win turns out to be Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's 7-5, or Kentucky and they're 7-5, and then those other teams that we've talked about, they all sucked. I mean, as much as like you're an Ole Miss fan, you want, because you hate these teams, you want Mississippi State to suck, you want Arkansas to suck, you want, in reality, you kind of don't want them to suck. You kind of want them to all be okay because you don't want people to be able to parse your resume.
But I do think you're in that scenario, even losing to LSU and Georgia, because you started so damn high. Right. And poll mechanics do matter.
Right. Sure.
It's maybe their one big difference versus a lot of years. They're not having to catch up. I mean, if they're 6-0.
But to your point, when Florida State's playing fill in the blank in the ACC championship game,
they have to win.
They have to win because you're the first team out.
Yeah. Now, the Big 12 might not have a team in the top 11 for it to matter.
Right.
Where you just go, okay, somebody's in. But somebody is in.
Right.
That's the point of this of, no, you're not having to finish top 12. You're having to finish at least top 11 and maybe top 10. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Is we keep going top 12. It's not top 12 because the group of 5 has an automatic bid. And Memphis or Tulane or whomever is not finishing in the top 12 in the country.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Who'd the Cubs get on the All-Star team?
Wait, I saw this. Shota Imanaga made the All-Star team. In the last month, I think I have watched like 5 innings.
Have you really?
Yeah. I did not watch a single inning of the Angels series over the weekend. They played the Phillies last week. I didn't watch a single pitch.
Really?
Isn't that crazy? I can't remember ever being this completely checked out on a baseball team. I think I know why. I think it's because they're just so poorly run. And I follow
There's no hope.
And I follow a basketball team that is so incredibly
you do
well
get a lot
run.
of 180 there.
Like I tweeted this when the Thunder signed Isaiah Hartenstein. They're the Braves of the NBA. And so while I'm not a Braves fan, I admire them from afar.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty big Thunder fan, and the Thunder are just run so incredibly well that I watch the Cubs and I'm like, you people are dysfunctional to the point that I don't even.
Well, yeah, because if somebody offered you right now and said, "Hey, you can add anyone to the Cubs player or anything else," you would go Anthopoulos. I would like him.
Yeah, yeah. Y'all got a baseball Sam Presti around?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what y'all need. Y'all need somebody that has like a clue.
Yeah.
I haven't watched. I turned it on yesterday and ended up going to the pool.
Really?
I literally, they were in a commercial break. They were doing the whole all-female broadcast thing, which is fine. Oh,
yeah,
cool, it's cool, whatever. And I was like, well, I guess I should. And then it was like, yeah, but I went over to the pool and I never came back. And when I came back, the game was over. And I'm like, oh, they won. How about that? Good for them. I'm completely checked out on them.
Couple of notes, things that I put in the mailbag, I put on the board, but let's catch them up in one place. I know there's a lot of people listening to the podcast that don't read our content, although I would love for you to subscribe at rebelgrove.com and take part in our message board and written community as well. I got asked a little bit. It's still, I think some people are still confused by it. Let's assume this revenue sharing is going through as it does, which is a huge leap.
It's a big assumption, but okay.
Clearing up facts in case it is correct.
For kicks and giggles.
Sure.
Got it.
Because even after I put some of this in the article the other day, people had questions. Does it create a salary cap? And the answer is yes and no. Just real quick. This is like a 3-minute answer. Yes, as far as $22 million is the amount that they believe that each school will have to pay 2 players on a total athletic department situation. So Texas A&M can't go over that. Nobody can go over that. It's $22 million the way that works.
Okay.
However, the number is more like 26 or 27. So you're having to add 22 to your budget to make it make sense. And the reason why is teams, if they want to, can make Austin payments, and Ole Miss has maxed out Austin payments. They've been pretty above like forefront of getting players the money from the. I think they were the very first school in the country to fully supplement and pay the Austin payments. You can make Austin payments not counting inside the 22. You also can give full scholarships to whatever the new roster limits are to count into the 22 million. So if baseball went from 11.7 to 20 scholarships or 25 scholarships, or name your number, the additional money that those would cost could subtract from the 22 for you to meet your obligation. The problem is, or not even the problem, just the way it works, the SEC is going to have a lot of their higher budgeted teams pay the 22 in addition to all those other things. They're going to full scholarship, they're going to pay the Austin, and they're going to add $22 million to the pod. So once they do that, everybody else is going to have to too. You can't be the team that doesn't fully fund in that same way. So for Ole Miss, you're talking about 26 to 27 million, not 22 million. That's another $4.5 million that would go into the coffers at that point and need to be raised. Hence why Keith is talking about even this coming season having hash mark logos on the field, exploring the possibility of something mingling with the midfield logo, even though that's a much tougher ask.
Why is it a tougher ask?
Because when the SEC...
Because the optics of it?
When the SEC presented it to the coaches of the ADs or whatever, and they approved this, the graphic they showed them was just a big Ford logo at the middle of the field, and that was it. But no, it's the balance. We've talked a lot about this, and I think it's real. You have to maximize, but you have to let the college fan at least think he has some level of emotional involvement with this.
Yeah.
So making sure these things blend in with colors and logos and don't overtake.
It's fascinating.
Is a really fine line thing where you're trying to maximize revenue, but you can't just take the Ole Miss logo off the middle of the field and put a big Chevy logo in the middle of the field. You just can't.
Because it would turn off the casual fan?
It's just too much. Like it'd be throwing the frog in the boiling water without slowly raising the temperature. Yeah. There's a balance here. You should do it, but there's a balance.
I guess. I'm this is where I'm wrong. I've been so wrong. I've been so wrong for 3 years on this, to the point where it's almost embarrassing. I keep waiting for the turnoff to happen because it feels like it's inevitable, and yet it just doesn't happen. But I don't know. I mean,
they haven't announced jersey patches yet.
That's coming.
Oh, it's definitely coming.
Yeah.
It hasn't been announced. And that's going to be an interesting one because I think every school is going to try to have patches that are sort of in their own colors and kind of make sense. But the more that I look at it, I can't tell you whose patch is on anything. Like I don't think that a patch that is off color is even really noticeable because look, there are a lot of the SEC is good about making the colors match, but there's a lot of conferences in college football that put the conference patch on that's not the same color as the uniform, and I never even think about it. Like, it just doesn't even cross my mind. So I do think while saying the other where the field matters, I think that the administrations at different schools may overthink the patch part, matching the jersey. Just run that revenue up and put what you put on there and call it a day.
Yeah. The midfield thing is pretty interesting.
Yeah, come on.
Well, you need, hey, look, I mean, again, you're saying, hey, run this thing for the first time. You're telling the people, the CFOs at these schools, hey, run this thing like a business. For the first time. Oh, but you can't cut anything. It's kind of like the federal government, right? Hey, balance the budget, but you can't cut any of the entitlements. Well, that don't work. It's.
Well, I mean, we did the
and so when I'm just playing, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate, and at the same time, I'm kind of going, well, you guys went down this road, so Chevy goes, we'll give you $10 million to put the big Chevy thing right in the middle of the field. $10 million. per school. And you go, gosh, that's more than a third of what we need to just generate. And there it is. Someone's going, well, traditions and all. I mean, if I'm the CFO in the room, I'm like, screw that. I mean, I'm sorry.
But you can't go 100% like.
Then where do you get the money?
I don't know. I don't have that answer.
Because on top of that, you're going to go to the same fans that are pissed off about the Chevy thing and go, oh, under the table, we need you to keep helping us buy players. We still need you to contribute to this collective.
Yeah.
And you're like, and if that fan's going to go, wait a minute. You're already distributing $20-something million. You need more? Well, yeah, because we got to get this kid at Texas A&M to come play one season. If somebody else has offered him $800,000, we've got to get him $1 million, and we can't give him one of the $1 million out of the $22 million. So we're going to.
I mean, does the Loves patch bother you because it doesn't match the uniforms?
No,
at all.
I mean, I don't notice the patches. My point's not that though.
No, I know.
I get it. Like the NBA, look. We can all make fun of the NBA, and I make fun of the NBA.
Major League Baseball started doing it too.
But the NBA kind of got this right. They've created this second apron thing, which we don't have time to get into. That is basically a hard cap.
Yeah.
They have figured out a way to cap salaries. College football's completely just out in this wild prairie. It's like what Oklahoma was before you settled anything. It's kind of where they are. I don't know how you could sit in the room. I get it. I totally understand where you're coming from. I also understand where the person would go, they're offering us the lifeline.
We're in the ocean. We're running down the current, and there's a rope. Why don't we grab the rope?
We're not going to take that inner tube because it doesn't look good, because it's going to hurt some feelings, because it's not a yacht. I think that's the fascinating part to me, is that you've created this.
And Luke's got a good point. The NFL has been very careful.
But the NFL has a collective bargaining agreement.
The
NFL has structure.
But doing something on the field, the NFL is unwilling to do?
Because they don't have to do it.
I get it.
If they had to do it, they would do it.
I get it.
But if they had to do it, they would do it.
I'm just saying.
I'm not advocating for it.
Look, here's what's going to happen. We can advocate or not advocate. What's going to happen is somebody is going to cut a check that is going to put, maybe they make it look great. I don't know. Read the quotes. Keith gave them to me. Listen to the conversation. Probably for next season, I do believe there is going to be the Ole Miss logo look just like it always looks, midfield, script, the whole deal. And below that, it says powered by and then a logo.
Sure.
I do believe that is coming.
I do too.
So if that's going to give you heart palpitations, probably should go ahead and start.
And there's going to be somewhere
that goes full bore.
Where the person goes, how do we turn this down?
It's like, I think Texas Tech just put Adidas all over the middle of their football field.
Sure.
I think so.
If it pays the bills.
Yeah. I think they literally put Adidas next to the Texas Tech logo.
See, this is the part where I get where you're coming from. I don't necessarily disagree. I'm not really sure that I have an opinion on it one way or the other at this point, because I'm not one of the people that goes to a college football game and goes, the tradition. That's just not me. I know there are lots of people that do. But I don't know, like, if I'm at LSU. I've always had the I thing in the middle.
And below it said brought to you by Walk-Ons, and put a Walk-Ons logo below it.
So we'll use Walk-Ons. We're just making shit up at this point.
I'm just picked a Louisiana company.
Walk-Ons goes, we'll give you $15 million if you let just the Walk-Ons be in the middle.
Just the Walk-Ons. No I anymore.
We'll give you $20 million a year. I'm not going to be remotely surprised, like, at all, when someone in the room goes, we can't say no to that. We must do that.
Epic said the logo was just edited in, or at least not yet. I did not know that about Texas Tech, but maybe it's coming. Maybe they were going ahead and embracing people.
Could be. But when someone just goes, you know what, we'll foot that bill. It means that much to us for our logo to be at the center of your stadium. And when someone goes, F it, do it. And when someone does it, and at first the fans are all worked up, but they keep coming because they've always come. And that's what they're banking on. That, Yeah, you might be pissed off about it. You might say you're not going to come anymore, but you're going to keep coming to the games. And then after a while, you get
But is there a breaking point?
I don't. See,
I'm going to stress the muscle and stress the muscle and stress the muscle and stress the muscle. And yeah, I keep
so
lifting every single time.
So far,
but at what
not.
point does the damn thing snap?
So far, there's not.
Well, they hadn't got there yet.
I mean, I saw where y'all were having the Ole Miss baseball conversation all last week. And there were a couple of threads where, are you going to renew your tickets? And the answer was yes. So, yeah. I mean, like, you literally just had an example of you had a player agree to a deal. It's not binding because it's not binding. And then another school comes in and goes, hey, we'll give you a lot more than that. And he opts out. He was only on your team for 1 year, and now he leaves to go to a rival team for more money. And the fans are like, it's okay. Well, yeah, it pisses me off, and we're going to boo him or whatnot, but we're still coming to the games.
The biggest problem that they've got.
So the question the answer to your question, is there a breaking point? I've been the guy that goes, here comes the breaking point. Here comes the breaking point, and it doesn't happen. So my answer is starting to be no. There is no breaking point.
Yeah, and I'll get some baseball stuff tomorrow. I don't need it today, so I'm not using it today.
And I wasn't trying to steer to that. I was just pointing that out as an example. Like, that was the kind of thing that I always thought would be the turnoff. Where ultimately you go, okay, so you're telling me we can't retain our best player because another team in the league is just going to overpay for him? That's it for me. I'm done. The answer is no. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Everybody keeps going, no, I'm going to keep coming, because what else are you going to do? So if that's the case, I don't know how you're the CFO in the room. You let the argument, I don't know how you let yourself lose the argument. They'll pay us $15 million just to put an emblem in the middle of the field, and we're going to say no based off sentiment? Are you effing nuts? That would be what I would be saying. You want me to balance the budget. You want me to make this work. We're adding $28 million to our expense line. Someone's offering to cut that in half, and we're saying no. Oh, and we're going to keep sending the golf team to Honolulu. Are y'all nuts? And the answer so far in all of college athletics is yes, everyone's nuts. Because then they go, well, the NFL has a salary structure. The NFL has a budget. The NFL, it's not even a good comparison.
I still think I'm right. There's a breaking point.
You might be right.
I think when you completely take away the identities, you're gone. I just do.
For the longest time, I thought you were right, and now I'm not so sure.
Yeah. Good question here from BWL. He goes, did the uniform companies get pissed because forever they've been the only logo on the uniforms? So they cut back on the amount they would pay a school to wear their stuff?
Probably not.
Probably not.
It hasn't impacted Major League Baseball. It hasn't impacted the NBA.
I mean, we did this the other day. I literally could have told you maybe 5 NBA patch teams.
Yeah. Fans don't seem to care.
Yeah. And I happened to look it up this morning because I was curious which it was. I looked up the Indiana Fevers because I saw they had Lily on Caitlin Clark's jersey. But until I looked it up, I didn't even know if that was Eli Lilly or Lilly Pulitzer. So, I mean, I couldn't have even told you which Lilly company it was.
Yeah.
It's Eli Lilly, by the way. Okay. But, yeah, had no idea. So.
I don't know where it's all going. Fascinating.
Yeah. All right, be back in a minute. First, G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer medicine. Free prescriptions the same day each month and take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery. You have everything you need it when you need it with G&M. So let them be your community pharmacy of choice, whether that be in Holly Springs with Tyson Drugs or Oxford with G&M. Again, that's 662-236-2222.
Are you a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands? Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? Either way, Andy Ludicky can help. He's a longtime Rivals board member, a diehard college football fan, franchise veteran. He owns multiple franchises and businesses. He uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy. Put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. MyPerfectFranchise.net, Andy at MyPerfectFranchise.net, or 404-973-9901. Southern Traditions Farm is a 68-acre, 32-stall upscale equestrian training and boarding facility in Canton, Mississippi. 2 sand rings, a grass ring, miles of wooded trails, a lot offered at Southern Traditions. Horseback riding offerings from beginner lessons to advanced to competing in nationally recognized competitions. It's also a great venue for corporate outings, events, things of that nature. So get in touch with them on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Traditions Farm. We're also brought to you by Art Hayes, Sotheby's International Realty. Are you thinking of making a move? Put the power of Sotheby's to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's International Realty and a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously. So call and ask Art how. 612-805-5929 or email him at arthur.hayes@lakesmn.com.
You did get a little bit of a tan. Did you go without a hat a little more?
Yeah, I don't know. I just
Just more pool time.
I've been in the sun a good bit. Been running again
Knees holding up.
so far. Knock on wood.
I've had my first injury now. So
what'd you hurt?
Got some sort of hip oblique issue on my left side. I don't really know.
That's not fun.
And I'm not a patient human at all. And
so you'll run with it, and then you start aggravating other things.
Yeah. It was kind of running down my calf and everything the other day.
Oh.
And the calf stopped. That's okay. But I've still got a little thing over here that's kind of pulling a little bit.
I sympathize.
Plenty of time. I'm fine. But it's.
I'm still more focusing on like run walks, the guided run walks, like where you.
It beeps and tells you when to do this. And
yeah, well, like literally like listening to a Peloton instructor where you run for 4 minutes, walk for 2, run, walk.
I mean, they say that's how you actually get more fit is the interval.
That's what I've heard. And
then kind of its own version of HIIT training.
And then there's some where it's like you jog for a minute, run for 2, and then walk for 2. So you speed up for 2 minutes, then you walk to recover.
Okay.
I think it's better for you. Like your heart rate variance becomes more attuned.
Sure.
I'm doing it because I don't want to just put the pounding right on the knee right now. Like I see like these 60-minute runs and I'm like, ooh, and then I think, no.
Did you have that surgery in February?
January the 11th.
Okay. It was somewhere in there.
Yep. So trying to be careful, trying to be smart.
I saw on the board asked, you are taking time off with McCready and Siskey or no, or what? What are y'all doing?
We're doing it today.
Okay.
Probably not Thursday because I probably have 2 or 3 things I've got going on Thursday. We'll do the show tomorrow. We'll do McCready and Siskey today. You and I'll do a show tomorrow. I'm going with Carson tomorrow night to his All-Star game in Brandon.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's got something on Wednesday that I need to be there with him for that. So I'll be off Wednesday, and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I'm assuming Jeffrey's available on Thursday. And then next week, we always have podcasts to you through through media days. But as far as streams and no streams, we have to tell you as that gets closer. It's a little bit.
I don't know what my internet will be.
Yeah. But you will have podcasts because Neal collects interviews, sends them back.
Yes.
We do the whole.
I'll go interview people.
We do the thing.
Yeah. I'm going on Sunday. I'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm flying back Wednesday night.
Do you care anything about Wimbledon at all?
I'll watch
I really haven't that much, which is surprising. I'm typically a little more locked in than I have been.
Look, I've watched so much of the Euros that it's been hard to have time to watch a lot of anything else. I've watched a lot of soccer that all come down to penalty kicks, which I think is one of the worst. You know me, I hate most overtimes. I hate the way soccer gets decided on penalty kicks.
But it's fun.
So you play 120 minutes, and then all of a sudden it comes down to this.
But it's fun.
I guess.
It shows you have to, like, when you care about the sport, it really frustrates you. The same way a really casual person probably watches the college football overtime when they did the 2-point conversions and go, oh, okay, this is kind of exciting. You just snap the ball and somebody wins. And then we go, hold on a minute. This is the dumbest shit ever. Like, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, can you imagine? Like, Ole Miss really needs to beat Georgia. Okay? Has to beat Georgia because they stumbled against pick your team. Okay,
whatever.
Pick your team. They lost LSU. They beat Oklahoma, but they screwed up against South Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay? They got to beat Georgia. So just play along. You're living and dying on this game. It's tied.
Overtime.
27-27 at the end of regulation.
You're emotionally spent. You are just...
Both teams score on both of their first 2 overtime possessions. And they go, okay, well, we're going to decide this on 2-point plays. It's absurd.
Yeah.
It's absurd. It's absolute.
Yeah. Do you like that or not? I don't know. Ask me in 5 minutes when it's over. I'll tell you.
But before it starts, do you like this? Everybody's answer is no, this is absurd, which tells you it's absurd. Yeah, sure. Someone's going to be happy because their team's going to stop a 2-point play. A 2-point play.
A 2-point play.
And that's going to determine whether you go to the playoffs or not. It's absurd. It's insane.
Well, at least
I just proved my point.
Maybe I'm showing my soccer idiocy here. The 2-point play is at least a normal play.
Sure.
The soccer thing is guessing.
Well, I mean, but if you commit a penalty in the box during regulation, they get a penalty kick. So that's their justification. We go, no, it's a part of the game. How many 2-point plays will Ole Miss run this year?
It's Lane, so who knows, but probably not many.
Okay, let's take Lane out. How many 2-point plays will Oklahoma run this year?
Fewer than 5.
There you go. So you're going to decide the season on that.
And typically you only have like 1 or 2 in your bag. Like a team's typically not going to have 12 2-point plays. They're going to have a couple.
Yeah.
At some point, you're just running whatever you would run from the goal line and go, okay, here's the next play.
Instead of
let's hand them the ball.
15 minutes on the clock. And so in overtime, all season, coaches go, well, we have to be very good in all 3 facets of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. Except in overtime where special teams are no longer part of the game.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that George Washington skit, on Saturday Night Live where he's talking about what's going to happen when this new country's formed. We're going to have gallons.
I love that skit.
It's the greatest skit in the world.
I love that skit.
We're kind of that way with sports overtimes. I'll give the NBA basketball this. They put 5 minutes on the clock and play basketball. Actually makes sense.
They do.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna put 5 minutes on the clock and we're gonna play basketball.
No, I mean, look.
Baseball goes, we're gonna put a man on second to start the inning because we never do that in any other inning. I
hate that.
It's insane.
It's actually my least favorite of all these things.
That could decide a pennant race.
Okay,
well, the game's 4-4 at the end of 9 innings. So what we're gonna do now is completely change the dynamics of the game, and every team's gonna have a leadoff double. Go. Awful.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that skit or you've never seen it, it's really good. It's worth your 5 or 6 minutes.
It's fantastic. It's so good. Maybe the best skit ever.
There's a little kicking.
Yeah. So in football, the game's played with feet. No, it's with hands. Is there any kicking? Well, there's some kicking. Do you get points for kicks? Sometimes 1, sometimes 3.
Yeah.
We measure in gallons, except. So how many milliliters are in a gallon? No one knows.
Yeah, because it gets like right in the middle of where they get me every time. But he goes, a very number everybody understands, 5,280 per feet. It's like
2,000 pounds shall be a ton. Yeah. Well, what will 1,000 pounds be? Nothing. Shouldn't there be something for 1,000 pounds? Well, there should, but there won't be.
Last thing, and I'm going to ask you some questions about your trip tomorrow. They fired the Team USA coach yet? They fired this guy?
Not yet.
Is he out?
He should be.
Is there any way he survives?
Yeah, because that organization is so corrupt.
Okay.
But it shouldn't be. Poorly coached.
Talk about wasting an opportunity when you got the World Cup coming in a couple years.
Well, yeah.
A lot of stuff.
There's a lot there. And look, there were a lot of people at that game on a Monday night in Kansas City. And have you ever been to Arrowhead?
I have not been to Arrowhead, no.
Okay. Well, Kansas City built Kaufman and Arrowhead in the same basic parking lot.
Yeah, that is correct. So I've been there, yeah.
In 1972, I think. There's nothing around those two stadiums. Nothing. I mean, literally, there's like a Best Western and a Taco Bell and a BP station. That's it. There's nothing. There's no sports bars. There's no restaurants. There's nothing. And they had all those people there. It was a chaos getting out of there after the game. But no, they got to fix it. They should be better than that. It was a really fun atmosphere though, and the city during the day we were out at KC Live, which is downtown,
Yeah.
not right in the middle of downtown Kansas City, and they had, I guess it was Portugal and Slovenia, I think, were playing 2:00 in the afternoon on a Monday in a Euros game, and that place was packed. People watching two European teams play a Euro game. I mean, you can argue about the sport. I wrote about this in 10 Thoughts. You can argue till you're blue in the face. People can just get upset about it. It's a growing sport, but the Americans have to be better.
Yeah, of course.
They got to start winning on the international stage more than they do, and they're too talented to play the style of play that they're playing. They're playing a style of play that doesn't fit what they do well, and that's his fault.
Yeah. A little more of that tomorrow as we get going. RebelGrover.com. In the meantime, appreciate you the stream. Good crowd today. Good comments. Thanks for all the super chats. Stay locked in. We'll be back in the morning with another edition of the show. Take care, and we'll talk to you then.